Tech Reimagined, redefining the relationship between people and technology. Brought to you by Endava. This is Tech Reimagined.
Hello and welcome back to Tech Reimagined. I'm Bradley Howard and I'm very pleased to welcome you to the latest episode of our show. We're now running into Season 3, in which we explore how technology is influencing the fabric of our society, the way we work, the way we live, and the way that we do business. Stay tuned on every podcast platform to listen to our subject matter experts this season. And speaking of expert guests, today we've got planned a special episode of Tech Reimagined, and I'm glad to be able to introduce you to Stephane Malrait. He's the MD Global Head of Market Structure and Innovation for Financial Markets at ING, and a colleague of mine, Toby Dixon, Delivery Director of Finance, Banking and Capital Markets at Endava. Together, we'll be discussing the current state of technology innovation in large banks. Hello, Stephane. Hello, Toby. How are you both today?
Hi, Bradley. Nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Hi, Bradley. Very good, thank you. Just back from my summer holiday, so raring to go.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. So, Stephane, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you've been up to lately?
Yes, of course. My background and experience was I started in technology quite some time ago, probably 25 years ago in banking. And through my career, I moved toward more electronic trading, distribution when it started really in the year 2000 with the first internet boom. And developed on that front, I saw the electronification of the capital market industry. And now in the last 2-3 years, my focus has been more on the innovation and further digitalization of our market. So looking at disruptive technology, looking at partnering with fintech companies, but also looking at how can we improve the roles of sales, traders, and how we interact with our clients by using more technology as we did in the past.
Right, okay. Well, I look forward to hearing about some of that experience soon as well. And Toby, can you give our listeners a bit of a background into your career?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a delivery director in Endava. I've had also 25 years experience in working my way up from project administration up through project and program management and into taking various delivery roles through financial services organizations, into banks, and working my way through into capital markets as well, implementing trading systems and the like. So quite a lot of background there. At the minute, I'm based out of Frankfurt in Germany, and I work together with a talented team of industry experts in Endava. So most recently, we've been spending some time working out where the industry is headed, particularly right now, and how we can be best positioned to support its needs over the coming months and years.
Thanks very much, and welcome to the show, Toby. Stephane, can we start with yourself? What technology innovation is happening within ING at the moment?
So it's quite a lot, to be honest. ING have been a bank was always very innovative, mainly through the ING retail bank, the retail franchise, because they have created the ING Direct, who was the first internet bank, if you want, more than 20 years ago. And so it's part of the DNA of the bank to be quite innovative. But what we found out probably like 5-6 years ago is while the retail bank was extremely digital, the investment bank and the market activity of the investment bank was not at the same level of the digitalization that it had to be. And this is for many reasons, and it's not just ING. I think it's global to our market. So what we are looking at now is how do we reimagine an acceleration of the digitalization of our effort. And the type of technologies that we do as part of this innovation is a mix of more disruptive technology, like trying to push to use more artificial intelligence, exploring DLT technology, exploring crypto asset technology, but also reimagine our existing electronic business and how do we put it on steroids, looking at more algorithmic trading, looking at more automation of our chats with our clients to be able and looking at data. I think the role of data is very important. And while we used to have a lot of data in banking in the past, we probably didn't leverage the information that we have at our fingertip to be able to improve the level of service we have to our clients. Now, I think there are a set of technologies that are available to us to make a big leap using those data and to be able to go even further to where we used to be in the past. So that's the kind of innovation we are looking at. We'll go in more detail later, but I think it's important for us to do that mix of looking at the far future and more disruptive aspect of technology, but also looking at the present and see how do we augment, improve from where we are with our existence of technology. And the reason for that is that the capital market environment started their automation probably 20-25 years ago when Toby and I started in our market. When I started, it was still the telex, it was still mainly on mainframe, and we were writing the trade on a black book to record all the transaction. But quite quickly, the new set of risk management system, booking system arrive. But now they are 20 years old, so all those systems are arriving at the end of their life and needs to have a refresh. So that's why I think the timing is quite good to be able to work on those technology stacks.
And do you always start with a technology innovation? Do you always start with a new technology and see how you can use it? Or sometimes do you look at challenges within the business and think, oh, we can solve that using X, Y, and Z, which doesn't always need to be the latest technology?
It's a very good question, and I think it's a mix of both, to be honest, because sometimes you have the technologies to ask the business, what is your pain point? What should we fix and give us priority? But if the business is not aware of what is available to them as new type of technology, you will never move, right? A good example is when the iPhone came out. Everybody was on BlackBerry and was very happy to be on the BlackBerry phone. They didn't know they needed to change. But then a new tech arrived and everybody jumped to that new tech because there was a lot more functionality in this new type of solution. And I think here it's the same. It's sometimes the demand come from the business, a system is too slow or too outdated and we need to change. And then we push to make some automation or change the technology. But other time is the other way around. And we find technology company or fintech company who have very good solution. And we say, it can help us to dramatically improve the way we do business. So we should integrate with them. A good example will be natural language processing. In NLP, we have a lot of text, we have a lot of data, and we didn't know we could do a lot more with that type of information until we discover there are NLP solutions out there who can help to get more translating unformatted data to formatted data point based on the text or the chat that we have, and then using this data to improve the customer experience, right? So this is more technology-led than business-led, but at the end, the result is the same. You have an improvement that you want to have.
So Toby, Stephane has mentioned a few different technologies in the podcast so far. What's your view on some of those technologies?
I think to absolutely agree with some of those points that Stephane has picked up there. Certainly, data is something that we see as a significant theme across capital markets, across financial services generally, and the technology has now got to the point where that starts to be far easier to provide those kind of data services to the organization that can serve up the data to the right part of the organization at the right time. That's projects that we are working on now and have been since cloud-based data platforms became possible. I'm probably thinking the last 3 or 4 years we've really got into that space. So absolutely agree with that. I thought it was fascinating the point that Stephane made about it's kind of the push and the pull of innovation, if you like. It's the business need can be as simple as I was talking to somebody not too long ago. Hedge fund manager got an iPad for Christmas in 2010. Guess where the organization went very, very quickly in terms of wanting to be able to offer those services on an iPad for both the internal people, who are just as important sometimes, but also for their client base. So, that's a kind of much more the business pulling that through and driving that agenda. But yeah, it's absolutely right. So I thought, automation is a key piece of where capital markets firms are looking to go in order to to make everything more efficient, more cost effective. And as they shift from a kind of a people cost base to a platform cost base, automation is part of that.
Right. And Stephane, can you share some learnings from the innovation programs that you've been part of, both good and bad, for us?
Yes, happy to be open on that. And I will start with the bad. I didn't realize when I started in innovation to focus really on innovation a few years ago that it's really hard in innovating in a large organization. It's extremely hard because we are not used to pilot and fail, right? In a capital market environment, and in banking, you recruit people who want to be winners. You recruit people who just want to make things work and create more revenue, more value, etc. But in innovation, it's a different principle, right? You have to explore a lot more, and you have to learn how to fail. The same way that a kid, before he learns how to walk, is going to fail on his butt a few times, but that's part of the learning process. In innovation, it's the same thing. So this was the first realization for us, where we launched, like 5-10 projects, and we were hoping that all those 10 projects will be a success. But in fact, no, only probably 1 or 2 of those 10 were going to go to delivery. All the other one, through the learning, we learned that either it was too expensive or too complex, or was not the right partner, or not the right time to implement. We had to stop those initiatives. But the one who are succeeding are proving real value. So there is still lesson to learn to do that. And the second lesson that we learn, and that's why I said in the beginning, our delivery innovation strategy is really to look at the disruptive, but also looking at the present, is that only looking at the disruptive stuff is probably too far away in the future and may not get the benefits that you want right away. We'll talk in other episodes about DLT, AI, who are important subject for us. But the value creation probably is in a few years' time. And we cannot wait. When you work on the trading floor, the trader is P&L is on a daily basis, right? So risk management activity in a real-time things. So they don't want to know what's going to happen in 3 years' time. They want to know what can be delivered in 3 months' time. So we need to be able to reply to that demand and to be able to improve with new tools of what we can enhance today. But we also have to prepare for the future, because if you don't start to think about what's going to happen in 3 years' time, today, you will never achieve that in 3 years. And I saw that when I started to see the electronification of our business 20 years ago. The FX market didn't become fully electronic, or the equity market didn't become fully electronic overnight. It took many years to get that adoption. But now it's a given that if you trade FX, if you trade equity, you trade it on electronic trading venues. So that's why this was a second learning for us. Focus on the present and what you can improve now with new tech, but also prepare for the futures.
Toby, does that resonate across your other clients?
So we're following the industry trends, and we're also trying to understand where our clients and the market in general is looking to place their bets. We look at things in terms of what are the necessities that you've got to be doing now, versus what are the things where you're placing a longer term bet. And I think Stephane nicely gave some examples of some of those, where the market knows that over time they are going to become important, but they're not going to shift the dial right now. I found it interesting, Stephane, you're talking about 3 months' time. In my experience with the trading floor, it's normally what can I get done in the next few days or in the next few hours. So yeah, but it's which actually in itself raises a very interesting and serious point. If you hit problems, as well as if you need to introduce change fast in a dynamic market, you do actually need to have the technology that can cope with that. So it's as simple as you need to have automation regression testing so that you can make a change quickly and actually get it out there quickly. So there's all these foundational elements that come into play as well to hit the present as well as the future, and it's making sure they're in play at the same time as looking at the things that probably, Stephane, you're being asked about by your colleagues who need to have an answer to. What is our position on blockchain, or what is our position on X, Y, and Z?
And cloud technology is another great example, right? So really, on your first episode of your podcast 3 years ago, people were still a bit reluctant at that time to say how we adopt cloud technology in a capital market environment, because you have to externalize the data, which is very private, which is have to be very secure, etc., etc. So 3 years ago, there was still a lot of question to be answered to migrate technology to the cloud. Today, it's not the case anymore. It's a well-done deal that you have to move, you have to have a strategy, you have to have your system on the cloud. So that's why you always have to be prepared to know what you plan to do for the next 3 years.
And that's definitely accelerating. That's moving faster and faster in terms of how quickly things go from maybe not to, well, we're being left behind if we're not doing this. That's where technology is accelerating from my perspective.
And Stephane, do you find it easier to say to other people within the bank, we really should do this because it will open up extra opportunity? Or do you find the stick sometimes helps, which is, we really should be doing this, otherwise this is likely to happen and might be overtaken?
Well, change, and that's why I come back to this, it's hard because, as human beings, we normally resist change. When we have our own habit and there is a system which has been working for 20 years, why should you change that system? And so you really need to have compelling reason to do the change. And normally a human behavior will be, yes, I will do the change when I see everybody else doing it. All right. So you wait until you get as many proof points as you can to be able to say, yes, it makes sense now, the industry is moving, I should move it. But a lot of time, if you wait to that day, it's too late, because as Toby probably know, a large change project can take times. And if you wait until the others, your competitor, have done it, then you are behind the curve. It's going to take you 3 years to do it, and they will move to something else. So you have to make some risk. You have to make some decision, knowing that probably sometime you are going to make the wrong decision because you think, I don't know, somebody is going to move to a new set of technology, and it will not happen as fast as you hoped or you predict. So your timing is going to be wrong. So that's why I think it's very important to continue to explore, and it's quite important to make the right bet and to learn. When I started 20 years ago, and I don't think people don't go to that extreme, but I was working in a bank that they were not sure which set of technology to use, so they put 2 teams delivering the same functionality based on 2 sets of technologies, and they told those teams at the end, we'll see the one who succeeds to go, faster to market with the cheaper to implement, and this team will continue. The other one will probably cease to exist at the bank. So it was a big bet that the bank was making, but it's to show that approach that you are not going to get it right all the time, but you have to be able to prepare and test the market and to validate your assumption on the way, and then you succeed.
It's really interesting you gave that example about having multiple teams with the same focus, because apparently, anecdotally, that's how a lot of the very large tech companies work, Apple, Amazon, etc. Apparently, they have very similar organization. Why do you think it works in tech companies rather than large banks?
So tech companies have, by design, a very large R&D budget, right? Because that's their business model. And so they have to innovate, continuously innovate. And because of that, they have to have teams testing and piloting new stuff all the times. A bank, it's not, as a bank, it's not our business to invent new tech, and our R&D is very small. So I think it's one of the reasons we prefer to deliver. And I think because of that, banks, when I started in the industry, in banking, a lot of banks were developing technology in-house, right? To the point that some of the large banks had their own operating system, that they had their own database. Some of them had their own development languages. But now I think we see a much bigger shift toward partnering with tech company, buying software externally. So you want to develop in-house something who are very key to your own IP, but the rest you can work with partner, or you can buy it from large fintech vendors.
Toby, any final thoughts on Stephane's response to that?
No, I agree. I think that there is, across the industry, there is a place for the standard package systems, which will get you, something faster than if you were building it yourself. But your differentiation comes from how you take that and you weave in, your own take on that. And so that's probably where we spend the majority of our time. We're not going to build a general ledger, but we are going to help organizations work on the differentiation that they bring to the market and accentuating that through the use of technology. I think that's important. And I completely agree with what Stephane was saying. Let's not forget, not too long ago, technology was a cost center. It was to be likened to the post room, whereas now it's an enabler. It becomes a product in and of its own right. And so that's a big shift that I think has happened over my career.
That's a really poignant way to wrap this up. Stephane and Toby, if any of our listeners want to get in contact with you, what's the best way? Stephane first.
Yes, I am on LinkedIn quite a lot. I'm on Twitter as well, so probably the best way to find me and to contact me. I'm happy to connect with as many people in the industry as I can.
What's your username on Twitter in case people do want to get in contact?
It's S. Malrait, my first initial, my first name and my last name.
Thanks very much. And Toby?
Same, LinkedIn, or by all means, they can contact me through Endava. My details are on the Endava website.
Right. To both of you, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights on how innovation can be approached in the banking industry from a dual point of view. To all of our listeners, I really hope that you enjoyed this episode of our Tech Reimagined podcast. Thanks for joining us today and looking forward to doing so next week as well. If you enjoyed today's episode, we hope you did, then please recommend us to your colleagues, friends and family.